America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Don't fight it.
Okay, well, thank you all for your attending this evening. Our first order of business is a presentation by Patrick Cahill, the Superintendent of Business for the Monroe Woodbury Central School District. Patrick, you're welcome to come up, and if you'd like, if you want to do it from the table there, Patrick, or you just want to chat, whatever.
Okay, why don't we just chat? I'll take the microphone out of the stand if you don't mind.
Please.
And I brought a poster to actually help me sort of walk through my agenda, but also kind of as a visual aid that we can look at. So I'm here tonight. Patrick Cahill's my name, Assistant Superintendent for Business and Management Services at Monroe Woodbury Central School District. And I'm here to talk about an important initiative the district is undertaking. It's a referendum. So we're literally asking the residents of the district for the authorization to initiate this capital project. And it's sort of a major capital project. The date for the referendum is Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 at Central Valley Elementary School from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And the reason we're asking the voters to approve this or authorize this is because in New York State, for capital projects, school districts are required to have voter authorization, voter approval to start the project. So we're talking about a project with a total cost of $98 million. And while that is a large sum of money, we're talking about a project that would make improvements at all 7 of our schools and 4 to 5 non-instructional buildings. So literally almost every building in the district will have some work done. And I'm going to get into the details, but the project itself, it's very nuts and bolts kind of thing, building systems, roof replacements, that sort of thing. Nothing too extravagant or fancy. And if you recall last year, around the same time, approximately a year ago, we went out with a similar proposition. It was not approved, so we've kind of slimmed this down and made some cuts and reductions to it, and we came in with, I think, a good package for projects and work that we really need in our buildings. So the goals, sort of on a high level here, the upper left-hand corner of my poster, is really to preserve and improve schools for current and future generations of MW students and families. We're trying to maintain health and safety in the buildings. So like you'll see that that's a real emphasis here. Well-being of students and staff, and really preserving the long-term investment. So we've made an investment in our buildings and in our facilities, and we're trying to preserve that investment, enhance that investment. So specifically, we see priorities and scope of work here on the left-hand side. What are we doing? So we're talking about adding 3 security vestibules at 3 of our elementary schools to the main entrances. So it's 3 buildings that don't already have a security vestibule. And so a security vestibule is an enclosure that visitors would enter before getting access to the building. So they enter the enclosure. We sometimes say it's a man trap. You know, they're there. They then interact through generally a window with a safety officer. We have a credential exchange program and a visitor management system. So we run their identification through the management system. So we know who they are, we know what their business is before we let them into the building. So that's the security vestibule. We're talking about replacing public address systems. So some of these systems, 40 years old or more, original to the buildings. In a school you need to be able to communicate with everyone, so we need those. It's really vital for the operation of the schools. We're talking about replacing fire alarms. Almost every building, I think, would have fire alarms and carbon monoxide detectors replaced. In terms of the buildings, kind of the building components, we're talking about replacing boilers, heating and ventilation systems, and in many cases, we're talking about boilers that are 40 years or more old. Pine Tree Elementary, 60 years old. So there's 3 boilers, they're original to the building, way past their useful life. So a component like that has a useful life, let's say it's 40 years, and we've done a lot of good preventive maintenance. We've maintained these systems, and it's saved us a lot of money, but we're at the point where they're expensive repairs, there's a lot of breakdowns, there's a lot of issues. Last year we had a problem with the Pine Tree boiler's out of commission for a week, so it's time to replace rather than repair these things. And another important difference between repair expenditures and capital expenditures. I'm going to talk about the funding sources, but when we do a capital project, New York State will reimburse us approximately 70% for those expenses. Repair expenses, there is no reimbursement. And so I like saying it's sort of like throwing good money after bad, right? We realize in our own homes, you have to replace the roof periodically, generally every 20, 25 years, 30 years, you have to replace the boiler, et cetera. That's the point we're at, really. A lot of these systems need replacement, they're past their useful life. So that's boilers, heating systems, roof replacements. I mean, we can't have schools with a leaky roof. We need the envelope of the building to be sound. We're talking about brick repointing, so that's just sort of fixing the facade of the building. I like to say at the Ed Center, that's the administrative building on Route 32. When we get a good rain, like tonight, with a little bit of wind, literally the water is cascading around the windows. I mean, that kind of thing is needed as well in some of our buildings. Instructionally, we're talking about refurbishing science labs at the middle school and technology classrooms. We're talking about, at the athletic complex, constructing outdoor bathrooms, permanent bathroom structure with a concession stand and some storage. Replacing the tennis courts, which are over 40 years old, and we've tried to repair them numerous times. I've been here about 9 years, probably had repairs about 3 different occasions. And it's like your driveway. You get to a point, the cracks are too large, the structure underneath the top is compromised, and so you just can't repair it anymore. You need to replace it, and that's where we're at with that. And then finally, we're talking about some upgrades at the bus garage. We have underground storage tanks. So we're going to take those out of the ground, put them above ground, and do a little work out there at the bus garage. So that's the scope of work in a nutshell. I went over that quickly. We have a lot of information on our website. There's a lot of detailed information. It breaks out what we're doing in every building. So if you're interested in that, you can go to the website. We have a QR code here. You can look at that. So let's talk about the funding. And I didn't mention in the upper right-hand corner, $98 million project, but the good news is it would have zero tax impact. No impact to the budget, no impact to the tax levy. And you might say, well, how is that possible? Well, it's really 3 factors here under funding sources. It's building aid, which is aid through New York State, our capital reserve, which is like our savings, and then the retirement of existing debt. So we're in a position where certain debt, principally from the high school, is about to be retired in the next 3 to 5 years. So those are the 3 things. I'll go into a little bit more detail on each one. So building aid is a form of state aid available to public school districts, and it's essentially the state's way of subsidizing or reimbursing districts for capital expenses. So it's a fairly complex formula, but I'm going to break it down simply. If you have eligible expenses, right, and generally expenses, capital work in a school building is an eligible expense, multiplied by a building aid ratio. So each school district has a unique building aid ratio. It's based on the need of the district, et cetera, is your building aid. And it's generally paid out over a 15 to 20 year period of time. So in our case, our building aid ratio is 74.1%. So we're estimating that we would get about 70% back in building aid. So for every dollar we spend, New York State will give us 70 cents over a 15-year period. That's number one. Number two, the district established a capital reserve in 2017. So it's like a savings account, and at the end of each fiscal year, any fiscal year, if we have a surplus, if we underexpend our budget, we receive more revenue than we had anticipated, we can take that surplus from operations and put that in the capital reserve. So we've been doing that since we established the reserve. So we estimate we'll have, it'll be 24% of this, or $24 million would be available by the time this is all said and done to put down. It's like our down payment on this project. And finally, the last 6% of the funding source would be the retirement of the existing debt that I mentioned. So the issue with the retirement of the existing debt is we're not just losing the debt, we're also losing that building aid that was associated with it. But it will amount to a savings in the budget, and it'll provide some room in the budget for new borrowing to fund this project. So again, $98 million with no tax impact. So in terms of the voting details, I've mentioned this several times. Tuesday, December 5th, 2023, at Central Valley Elementary School on Route 32. That's the referendum, the vote date and time. I'm urging people to learn more about the project and to get out and vote on Tuesday, December 5th. I'm trying to think if there's anything I haven't covered. I think I've covered most of it. But I'm open to a little discussion or questions, if anyone has any.
I don't really have any questions, more of comment. I'm a teacher, and I live close to the bus garage, and I do feel the need for what we have here. The vestibules, I went to the high school when they first put that in last year, and I really like the safety of, you know, it's almost like you're in a holding cell. Like you
Correct.
go in, they check your ID, then actually, I couldn't even go in, then they sent my child out. I am a Pine Tree grad.
Okay.
I'm not 60 yet, but,
Okay.
you know, I know what it's like to be in a school that needs heat, needs all these, you know, different things, and I just feel like for our children, we want all these great things, and I'm actually excited about this, so I want to thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and the truth is, there are many other things that we need and want, and, you know, we had to make some tough choices, and, you know, to get to that number of 98 million.
It's silly, but Pine Tree's boiler lasted 60 years and the high school's not even 20?
Seems strange, right?
Yeah.
But the high school boilers, for whatever reason, I can't think of the brand, they never functioned well. They were notoriously problematic from the beginning. And so it's one of those things where we're not even sure that, like, they'll make it for this season almost. We've had many repairs, and our repairs are not, you know, $1,000 or $2,000. They're tens of thousands of dollars. Like for a major boiler repair, they have to sort of take the insides out, re-weld it. So it's almost like a design flaw, I would say, or a problem with the design of that particular unit. And we've reached out to that manufacturer. I don't even think they're making boilers anymore, that firm. They're sort of out of that business, that line of work. So.
And you don't see any reduction in staff, especially at the Board of Ed or at the various administration positions? You don't see any reduction in staff? To reduce some of the overhead?
In the context of this capital project?
This capital project. So in other words, you don't need any reduction to move forward with this?
No. I see what you're saying. You're saying, are we making reductions elsewhere in the budget to fund this?
accommodate, yeah,
No,
exactly.
because the reality is I talked about the funding sources. And the building aid is obviously the largest, so we have 70% paid there. We've saved money, so we have that money already saved from operations. And, you know, the retired debt service will provide that,
And this will be paid
offset.
off over a period of time?
Yes.
How long is that time?
Be 15 to 20 years. So the way it would be structured, generally each bond, we're going to do issuing like bonds at like probably 4 different points in time as you need the money. So the first tranche, if you will, would be, each one will be 15 years, but as it stretches over time from the beginning to the end would be approximately 20 years. But it'd be 15-year terms for the bonds. And so it's same as you guys do. We go out, we issue debt, bonds to borrow money. Initially, probably what we would do is issue bond anticipation notes, so it's more short-term borrowing. And so we would do that. You can renew those up to five or 6 years. And so we'd also do that because we're going to watch interest rates. What are interest rates doing? Because we want to lock in when we think the rate is low and attractive. So.
Patrick's got a few things here I'd like to go over with you. So last year's proposal was how much, do you recall?
115.6 million. Yep.
Okay, so the slim
It's
down
etched
is-
in my memory, Neil.
Yeah. So this year proposed is 98 flat. And you mentioned that all buildings are going to be affected by this capital plan.
Yes.
So based on our formula, I think you said we're in a percentage ratio of 74.1,
Yes, correct. Yep.
which applies to, the coefficient of that is 70% from the state on
Correct.
capital.
Correct.
And that's monies that they give to the district.
Correct.
That's not in the form of any renewable debt or any, it's money they give to you.
It's aid that we would receive
Aid.
each year. Yep.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because the aid itself, it anticipates interest costs.
Sure.
So it's an amortization,
Keeps
an
with the-
assumed amortization that they build in. So-
Sure. So based on that calculation, I'm at 68.6 on the 98, right? And that leaves 29.4. And I didn't catch or I didn't see, where is the capital reserve right now?
It's at 18.4 million, but we anticipate by the end of this, we would have 24 million to put down.
24?
24 million. It's 24 million, and it's actually works out to be approximately 24% of the funding for the project.
Okay, and the source of the increase from 18.4 to 24 million is the debt service?
No, that would be,
You've budgeted for
that would be
reserve?
operations. That would be surplus
Okay.
from operations, because we're talking about a project that we won't put a shovel in the ground probably until summer of '25,
Okay,
if all goes well. And then it's 4 to 5 years out
okay.
as we phase everything in, so.
So between fund balance and additional money set aside for capital, because you do set money aside every year.
Yes,
That's how you built
that's
the
what we've been doing.
18.4. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. The debt service, that's retired when on the high school?
It's going to be the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay. It was a 25-year note, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's not the only piece of the debt service. There's a energy performance contract that's in there that's going to come off. There's a few pieces that are going to come off, and we've refinanced in the last few years and consolidated some things. So in the next, I would say 5 years, there would be one relatively low instrument that would be out there. It's about $247,000. It's the borrowing that we did to do the athletic fields.
Okay. All right, so just let me go through the math one more time so I understand the same page. So 98 mil project,
Yep.
68.6 New York State,
Yep.
29.4 balance, 24 million balance available by the time we put a shovel in the ground.
Correct.
So that leaves about 5.4 on the table,
Right.
and that's going to come out of a ban.
Well, the offset would be the retirement of the existing debt in our budget.
Okay, so this,
So in other words, the budget will be reduced because we're paying off some of this debt service, and that I will call it room in the budget
sure.
would fold in from this project.
Okay, but
So
the debt, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. So it's no budget impact,
Right.
right? Because, with the way we structured this with the state aid and the existing debt, which will go away, and the new debt will come on, and no tax levy impact because there's no budget impact.
Understood. But you mentioned a moment ago bans.
Yes.
In what context?
Well, I mean, I mentioned that in the context of, how this works in terms of the financing. So typically, we would use some short-term financing. Some people are concerned, what's the, interest rates are high, right? Is that going to be an issue for us? Is it going to cost us more? And so I reference that just as a method of financing and a method of ensuring we get the lowest interest rate possible. So it's not something we necessarily have to do, but it's typically done with short-term borrowing.
No, and I don't disagree. I agree
Right.
100% actually. I'm just trying to total out the balance, the building reserve, current
Yeah,
proposed building reserve by the time you put the shovel in the ground,
right.
and then some of the debt service coming off should put you at about a net zero. So I'm wondering where
Correct.
the bands, where that's coming from. What's the purpose of a ban?
Well, the ban would just be a way to finance short-term, depending on
While
our
this
cash,
is-
while it's all happening. So
Okay.
it's not something, it doesn't really affect the financing. It's more about the cash flow of a construction project.
Of the projects.
And,
I understand.
and interest rates, if we look at things and we say, we still think interest rates are, let's say it's 4%. We say we could do, I don't know, 4 years ago, we could have done a lot better.
For a penny.
Right?
Right.
So then we go into bans for
Yeah.
up to, 5 to 6 years as we sort of wait for things to return to normal, that
Right,
kind
and
of thing.
then you would retire that debt, that band debt.
Correct. The
That's money
new
to-
debt pays the ban off, and, hopefully we'd have a lower interest rate. But the bans aren't required necessarily. It's just something that's typically done, I mean, you're in construction, right? Mayor Dwyer. So depending on our cash flow needs, how things are going,
Right.
what we're trying to do, the phasing of everything,
Sure.
it just gives you a little more flexibility to use a ban rather than a locking in.
I
That's all.
understand.
Just a method of.
The public address
financing.
systems, is that district-wide?
Not district-wide. It's, I think it's the majority of the buildings. I
Okay.
actually have all the details here, but
That's fine, I'll go on your web.
Yep,
That's fine.
yep.
And that right there would probably be helpful, we'd be happy to post it as well, so people could go out and do some homework.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so, and boiler-wise, it was Pine Tree only, 3 units.
Well, no, boilers, we're doing boilers, I think we're doing boilers in 5 buildings, actually.
Okay.
So it's, I mean, let me pull out the
Here,
details.
it's on,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have that.
yeah, it's all
It's
here.
it's on your thing here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the other thing, I was going to say, Mayor Dwyer, when you consider this project, if you take boilers, roofs, PAs, and fire alarms, it represents 80% of this, $78 million. So it goes to the idea that it's a pretty nuts and bolts kind of project. Things-
Yeah, and I don't want to take your time on it, I'll review it, I'm great with that. The underground tanks for the bus garage, and did I hear you say they're going to be kept above ground now?
Well, that's what we would do, yeah. I mean, there's actually a lot going on with school transportation right now.
Sure.
So I don't know if you're aware, there's a law that was passed at the state level that all new buses purchased after 2027 need to be zero emission, electric, basically. So after 2027, any bus a school district or contractor buys needs to be electric. That's the current law. And then by 2035, the entire fleet needs to be electrified. So
So it's a phase in,
we have money allocated. The money, the idea of the money allocated for the bus garage was to deal with the underground storage tank, which is aging, it's not leaking, there's no issue with it. Supposedly it's a forever kind of tank, made of fiberglass. But if this law continues the way it is now, we're going to need some funding and some resources to implement an electric fleet and system. So that's not just electric buses, it's the infrastructure to charge the buses, it's the power supply to the bus garage. There's a lot of unknowns with this, and every district and contractor is going to be dealing with that issue. So,
sure. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. But the one thing I was going to say though, Neil, is so we're talking about replacing boilers and heating system at 5 schools. So it's not just Pine Tree, it's Central Valley, it's North Main, and those 3 buildings are going from a steam system to a hot water system. So it's, when you look at the numbers are much bigger than, let's say, Smith Clove, which is just a 1-for-1 kind of replacement. So we're spending about, like, let's say $2.4 million at Smith Clove and more like $10 million at North Main, and probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $12 million at Pine Tree to replace the steam with hot water. So you not only replace the boiler in kind, you have to replace all the
Units,
all
the
the units in the rooms, the unit ventilators, all the piping in
Sure.
the whole system. But the other thing we end up with is more energy efficient systems that work better, that cost less to operate, and we reduce our repair expenses.
No, sure, that's the hope and the goal, right?
Correct, yeah.
Now, right now, they're fuel oil,
Gas and,
they're all gas.
yep.
Oh, okay.
They both, though, actually. That's how we have
Okay.
to operate them. They can
Yeah.
operate either way, but we're mostly natural gas.
But what you're going to upgrade to will be natural gas across the board,
Yes.
so no more oil.
There's been a little bit of talk, I hesitate to bring it up, but we've talked to our architect and engineer about using something in one of those buildings, those 3 buildings, that would be heat pump technology.
Okay.
So in other words, you're familiar with that, people
Sure.
have split units in their own home. It's electric, though, that would
Yep.
run that. And the advantage of that is it also will provide air conditioning. So this is one of those things was air conditioning. The schools are hotter, right? We know in June, September, some of our buildings on the second floor are very uncomfortable, when we're getting close to the end of the year. And that was one of those things we had to do away with. We thought about adding air conditioning, at least to congregate areas of some of the buildings, but we just couldn't do it. So if we were to do that, that would provide air conditioning. And then if we take it another step further, if we were to put a solar array on the roof, that could help power that heat pump system in the building. So it's something we're looking at, we're considering.
Good, and you just mentioned the engineers and architects. Are the soft costs in this 98?
Yes. That is all in. Soft costs, architects, you know, escalation,
Good.
everything.
Assumption.
Construction management, yep.
Little
Unforeseen
unknown,
conditions,
little
yeah,
Unknown.
yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, just a couple of things. One of the things that concerns me is the fact we're doing this vote in December, when everybody's going into the holiday mode. Why is it that this isn't scheduled when we do our annual elections in May? Is there a reason why we're now into December and putting this out to a vote?
Yeah, it's a good question, actually, and I would say probably 50-50. School districts will do it in May, right, during the budget vote. It's the budget vote, it's the Board of Trustees vote, or they may do it at a different time, like, you know, like in the fall, like we're doing. The way we're looking at it is, in the May vote, there's a lot going on. You're voting on the budget. There may be issues with the candidates running for the school board. In our case, there's at least 3 school board vacancies, right? And however many candidates that amounts to. We typically do a transportation proposition to buy school buses. So we figured this is a way to let everybody just focus on this one issue, clarify this one issue, that this issue does not get muddled with other issues. It's not confused with the budget or the, you know, any politics that may be involved with board candidates, that sort of thing. It's a way to just stay focused on this singular issue. That's the way we're looking at it. Other districts will, you know, add this at in the May vote, and
Well, I think it rubs people the wrong way, to be quite frank with you,
Okay.
when it's done this way. You know, why not put it right out there with the May vote and put it as a referendum and let the people choose? But now you want the people to come out again, and it costs money to run a second election. Those folks over there, they're not volunteers, they're getting paid.
right.
So now you're running 2 elections in a fiscal year. I just think that everything should be done at the same time. If we're looking to save money, that's where we should be looking. It'd be more more responsive on your end. As far as retiring the debt and no impact on the budget, I look at it this way: if you're retiring the debt and doing nothing, our taxes should go down, the budget should go down because you've got less debt service. So it is a reflection on the budget. The budget would go down, that would mean our taxes would go down, yes or no?
True, but what I would go back to is the boilers that are 60 years old at Pine Tree, 50 years old at Central Valley, that are not functioning well, that are costing us thousands or tens of thousands of dollars every year. And we're at the point where we're at an inflection point where it actually costs more to continue to repair than it would to replace.
Well, that's my next question. I can honestly say, and I went to the Pine Tree also, I'm actually older than the furnace up there.
No,
Yeah.
look good for your age.
Anyway, have you done the comparison? Is there information out there on the energy efficiency of getting rid of these big monster furnaces and putting more efficient stuff in? What will we see a savings in our natural gas bills because we're putting stuff that's more efficient?
The answer is yes. We have looked into that with our engineer, and we asked them. Savings aren't as great as you would think, and they're sort of difficult to project in some ways because there's a lot of variables associated with that. But a more energy efficient system will save us money on utilities, and we have looked into that. We have asked about that, for sure.
Okay, that's all I got. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you. Thanks for the
Just that
feedback. I
last
appreciate it.
point. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just one quick question. Have you looked into geothermal? It's a natural heat pump.
We considered it, and I think I'm not an engineer or a builder, but my understanding is geothermal is better when it's new construction. So it's much easier to do, to sink wells when you have just, a clean slate, so to speak, a blank canvas. In our case, we're talking about older buildings, and I don't think it would really be cost efficient. We have discussed it. We have gotten that feedback, but But, you know, this would be I think, the more cost-effective and reliable way to go.
Okay, good.
But I think the heat pumps make a lot more sense, and you don't have the emissions.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the
So
other big
that's-
I
thing.
think,
Lower our
when your
carbon
buses are
footprint.
being made to be electric because there's zero emissions,
That's right,
I think your buildings can be as well, and the benefit is dual air conditioning and heating,
right,
and more easily zoned.
right.
See, one of the problems, I think, and at the district, is a lot of the building is being used almost 16 hours a day in some cases. So between managing the heat levels, so that you're not starting to have a cold startup versus a temperate start, means your utility's on, right? So it almost seems like as if with the heat pump, if class 102 isn't being used, class 102 has a setback. And I don't know if the rooms are like that. I don't know the district, the buildings per se.
We actually do have setbacks. We have sensors in every classroom. So
Classroom,
we
okay.
have a building management system, so we're able to kind of
Monitor that.
monitor and set it back, yep,
Yeah,
and
that's
regulate
good.
the whole thing. I mean, that costs money too. We're talking about doing that, upgrading that system
Yeah,
as part of this.
I like the heat pump idea. I think that's.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's interesting. And it's the future,
Yeah.
right? I think New York City's passed a law where new construction, I think it's got to be electric. They're moving away from fossil fuel entirely. And that's what we're talking about, something like that.
Thank you, Patrick. All right,
Thank you.
Anything else?
you.
Okay, thanks so much, folks.
appreciate your time.
Have a nice Thanksgiving.
All the best for Thanksgiving.
Thank
Anybody
you.
from the audience that may have something, or?
Anybody from the audience would like to speak to Mr. Cahill on any matter regarding this project?
Nope.
Thank you, Patrick. Oh,
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks again.
somebody was biting his nail.
Thank
Have a nice evening, everyone.
All the best. Happy Thanksgiving.
You do. Thank you.
Thanks.
Freezing in here every time.
Well, like I said, that thermostat's probably.
Okay, next order of business is a public hearing on the amendment to Chapter 182 taxi cabs. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
Berenger will make the motion.
Ferraro second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Just note for the record, trustee O'Connor is out. Thank you. Okay, we had a first and second. We call the question. Public hearing on the local law regarding the amendments to Chapter 182 taxi cab is open. Anyone wishing to speak upon that, please come on up to the mic, give us your name, and we'd be glad to hear you.
Did we vote?
We did.
Who opened the public, I'm sorry, who first?
I did.
Berenger.
And Ferraro.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to know, like, the law.
Would you come on up to the
Couldn't
mic,
up to
please?
the mic.
Oh, that's okay. Neither am I. Come on up. It's all good. Just give the clerk your name if you don't mind, please.
My name?
Please, to the clerk.
Alexis Gomez. But I was just like wondering, what this, law means. And I didn't read before it, but we were just told like a week ago or something.
Uh-huh.
But I was just wondering what the regulations are for, we have a taxi company, but we have them all like registered and all.
Where did you register them?
The taxis?
Yeah.
You wanna pull them up? Randy Gomez. Okay. Well, the taxi company, the taxi cabs are all registered with like livery plates
With the state of New York.
with the state of New York, of course.
This law applies to the Village of Monroe. So the Village of Monroe has a taxi code ordinance that's been in place for, oh gosh, 4.5 years. And these are some amendments that have come up with the taxi code ordinance. So, and I'm sure maybe you're not, having any issues or have had any issues, but there is enforcement out there on operations that don't follow the law. And a lot of it, and most of it has got to do with safety.
So safety, or like the way that people are handling it, as in like if cars are picking up people that are not insured.
That's one of
Those
them.
safety ways?
Yeah.
So if we're here, we wanna present, like, can we like speak about maybe having like more checkpoints or stuff like that of that nature, like?
Well, that, you mean, these are things you're concerned about, or you
Yeah.
feel are warranted? Well, that's a separate conversation we could have, for sure.
Okay.
And certainly, this is now also, if you'd like to speak about, you can do that as well. So, for the record, it was a public hearing. It's about this law. So any matter, which I'm sure what you're saying so far for me is pertaining to this local law. So I would speak freely about anything. It's being recorded, the clerk is monitoring it, and all your comments will be noted.
Okay.
It's only a public hearing, because we're not adopting anything. It's just a public hearing to get feedback from
Just
the
to hear,
public.
like, feedback
That's right.
on
Sure.
what can be helpful or what can be added.
And I would suggest, if you don't have it, it's on our web?
I think she has a copy, yeah.
She has a copy in front of you? Okay. So I would definitely read through it. And you don't have to labor on that right now. If you have things in your mind that you'd like to share with us, or concerns that you thought about, I mean, you guys have been in business a while, I think, yes?
Yeah, probably
So-
over about 15 years.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've built a nice resume of concerns.
Yeah.
Right? So please, speak your mind.
So like how we go about like checkpoints, like she said, like perhaps like more control, I guess, in the areas, like. Yeah, I guess our concern is that, there has been an influx of, I guess, illegal taxis or people driving rideshare.
What do you call it, rideshare?
Rideshare, I guess,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's what they call it, as like an Uber or Lyft or
Okay,
those companies up there. So we've seen a decrease in business as well as complaint that, you know, people think that we charge an excessive amount compared to other companies, when reality, these other companies are not companies, perhaps.
They don't have the same expenses as us, as like, so therefore they think like we're just like, you know, overpricing them, you know? And,
So we figured maybe in order, I don't know, if there can be, I guess, more patrol or more checkpoints when people are driving around. There was, I know, a few years ago that there was almost a law about having like a certain certificate or sticker on a car, yeah. And, I'm not too sure if that really went through or not, or.
it's gonna go through when this is adopted.
Okay, so, yeah, I believe that's gonna help too. And I guess if people do get caught doing an illegal service, like of that matter, driving people around, maybe the fine should go up higher, this way people will realize, like, well, yeah, we need to grab a taxi cab, we need to have a license, we need to insure it with, livery plates. Because you don't necessarily need to be in a company, but you should have the,
car registered.
yeah, the insurance, because God forbid something does happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just to be, I guess, more aware of that, because, I mean, I know a lot of people do it, it's easy, but, I mean, we do it like for a living, we've been doing it for a long time, and we help out the community a lot. So, a lot of people, I guess, take that work away from us, I feel like it's not, it's not nice, I guess, and we've been here for a while.
No, yeah, I get it. I get it. My recommendation, if you would, is to read the local law in its entirety. And the public hearing, you know, we can keep the public hearing open until next meeting. We could close it and take written comments for a period of time. My recommendation would be to do that, read through it, write your comments out. We'd be glad to receive them here from the clerk. You know, come on in or email them in. That'd be great. Yep.
Yeah, I apologize, I was not that informed, I was just told about it a few days ago as well, but I came to hear as well. You know, and-
Sure.
Well, a thing also is your competition, you know, that is on board, you know, with insurance, livery plates, so forth and so on. reach out to them.
Yeah.
Let
Of
them
course.
let them know about this law, give them a copy of it, let them put their eyes on it as well. You know, the more eyes that are on it, and the more information you get back to us, it'll help us to solidify that law. So we reply, you know, we look for the public's input on this, so it's very important.
We had to trustee Carl's point, we had a workshop back in probably 2019,
Yeah, long time ago.
and I had about 22 companies come here.
Yeah, we felt like that was gonna be like more of like that.
Yeah, well, this is still kind of like that. I mean, this is, no big deal.
But talk to all your fellow
Well, we definitely
delivery
had that
guys out there
conversation.
and let them know.
And there'll be ones that won't want to have a conversation with you because of their operations, and you guys are playing by the rules. So definitely read through that, and anything that you're thinking you want to put to paper, I would say, please do so and submit it to the clerk to my attention, and we'll consider it and share it with the board. All right, thanks so much.
I would just note that this, what you have in your hand, is only the amendments to the local law. So you would have to read that in conjunction with the actual text of the law.
The whole law?
And that,
No,
I'm
that's
sure,
that's the other
the
one.
clerk
Oh,
could
that's the other one.
provide you.
Sorry.
Okay?
Yeah, if you go to the website, it should be on there. Or come on in and we'll give it to you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak on this?
Guess not.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, I make a motion, or ask somebody to make a motion to close the public hearing
Are
with,
Are you going to close the public
I
hearing?
wouldn't close it.
not close it, adjourn it.
Adjourn it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Adjourn it,
Continue it to the next meeting.
continue at next meeting, and any comments written would be gladly accepted.
Carl will make that motion that we continue it to the first meeting in December.
All right. Second,
Berenger will second.
call the question,
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, aye.
and that's December 5th, correct? So you'll get that right on there, right? Okay. Okay, next order of business is a due process hearing for code violations against the Village of Monroe's property maintenance law for 401 Route 208, SBL 201-3-4. Okay, this is a due process hearing on November 21st, 2023 at 7 PM. Code violations against the Village of Monroe's property maintenance law for 401 Route 208, SBL 201-3-4. A due process hearing is being held this evening, Tuesday, November 21st, 2023 at 7 PM in the boardroom in the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York. The hearing is being held to review the violation issued by the Village of Monroe Building Department on the following property violations issued 401 State Route 208, Tax Map 201-3-4, as per Village Code Section 155A-6E, General Requirements. All land must be kept free of dead or dying trees and accumulations of brush, shrubs, weeds, grass, stumps, roots, excessive and/or noxious growth, garbage, refuge, or debris which could either tend to start a fire or increase the intensity of a fire already started, or cause poisoning or irritation to people or animals, or cause or tend to cause or enhance an unhealthy or dangerous or obnoxious condition on said property or any adjacent or neighboring property. The specific violation is garbage debris on all sides of the building throughout the lawn. At this time, I ask anyone here on behalf of this property, 401 Route 208, please come on up and address the board on this matter.
If I may, I did look at this property today, and the rubbish is still in the side behind a little retaining wall.
You can turn that way. Do you know how to do that?
You have to, that in photos?
Yeah.
It has to go to photos.
Oh, there,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, if no one is here on behalf of or is the owner of 401 Route 208, going forward, I need a motion to close the due process hearing at this time.
Carl will make that motion.
Ferraro, second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Okay, next order of business is the department reports. I need a motion to accept the department reports as submitted by the department heads.
Carl will make that motion.
Second,
Berenger will second.
discussion?
Yes, just two quick things. The water transmission line, I don't, Ernie didn't put it in his report. We're about halfway done with the pipe the pipe bursting we're completed with from Monbassia Reservoir down to the filter plant. We're about halfway done. We are now out of the wetlands. So everything now is going to be open ditch to the filtration plant, where some additional work's going to be done down there with the manifolds and the plumbing that's tied into the filter plant itself. So it's quite a project. If you haven't had the opportunity to see it, I would encourage you to take a look at it, but that's finally moving along.
Just a second on that. So I've arranged to make a presentation, hopefully it'll be on the village's website, possibly YouTube, but it'll definitely be on the website shortly. So you can see the beginning and the during and photos and get an idea of how significant a project it is. I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. And the last thing I had on the treasurer's report, I see the contingency line on the general fund is down to 83,198. Was that due to the contractual arrangement that we had talked about and paying that out for one of our employees?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Okay, so we had a first and second discussion further. Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is the minute approvals for the November 6th board meeting. I need a motion to have it approved as submitted by the clerk.
Carl will make that motion.
Ferraro, second.
Call the question?
Berenger, abstain.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, aye.
You have that, Kim? Abstain?
Mhm.
Okay. So absent, all right, so the three of us who were at that meeting, right? Okay.
Right.
Very good. Aye, so carried. Thank you. Next order of business is the budgetary transfers and modifications. Resolve the Board of Trustees authorize the treasurer to make the following fund transfers and modifications to balance the budget. A, 3389, other public safety. 2, the PD auto maintenance, raising the line $2,252.99. The second one, and that's a NYMER, which is an insurance that we have in the village, that's a reimbursement line. The next one is A 9950.930, automotive reserve. PD again for vehicles, $68,348.27. That's to fund the purchase of a police vehicle, and that's coming from the reserve account and going into the general fund account to make the purchase complete. And the third one is A 3389, other public safety, A 3120.135, grant personnel overtime. It's a fund that money we received, $5,706.05, and that's to raise the line as a result of a grant for public safety from New York State. So I need a motion to approve these the budgetary transfers and modifications.
Berenger will make the motion.
Ferraro, second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carly.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business, retirement. Resolve, notification has been received from the New York State Retirement System that Deborah Prue, full-time Assistant Building Inspector, will be retiring with an effective date of December 21st, 2023. The board accepts her resignation and wishes Debbie well in her retirement. I need a motion to accept it.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second?
Carl was second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carly.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business, 5, adoption of local law 22 of 2023, which is the Village of Monroe Place of Worship in Schools. I'm going to table that. And that's 20, local law 22? Okay, so you'll,
We're just, right now, we're just gonna call the draft.
okay, very good. Next order of business, trustee Carl,
Stand by one.
the payment authorization, right?
Yep. Give me a minute. I had the opportunity to speak to this gentleman yesterday regarding his dilemma with his late fees he was charged, and we really didn't get anywhere. I spoke with the,
Hold on one second. Right above it, the payment, the authorization.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I'm gonna write,
Yep.
all right, hold on one second. Yep, resolve the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of Village Engineer John O'Rourke, P.E., and approves payment number 3 submitted by Regal Utility Services, Inc., 731 Warwick Turnpike, Hewitt, New Jersey, 10421, for the Forshee Street Water Main Replacement Project in the amount of $90,171.06. All documents have been reviewed and found complete. Mayor Dwyer is hereby authorized to sign the voucher for payment, and I will put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Berenger will second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carly.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Trustee Carl?
Yep, okay, let's, yes, I had the opportunity to talk to the owner of account number 1525. We really didn't get too far in our conversation. I did speak with the Village Hall staff, and the allegations or errors that he claimed may have been done or were internal here, there was really no merit to it. So town water customer 1525 requests to have $37.86 in penalty fees waived from his water account. He explained he had surgery and was bedbound for an extended period of time. He is able to provide medical proof if needed. The customer states he made attempts to pay online, but received error messages and was not able to pay his bill. He also states he made one attempt to contact us, but never received a call back. The office staff at Village Hall do not have any record of the call or message that he made. The customer has paid his account in full and requests that a credit be applied to his account of $37.86. At this time, I'll make a motion, resolve the Board of Trustees denies the request of Town Water Customer 1525 for waiver of penalties totaling $37.86.
Second, please.
Ferraro, second.
Discussion?
Yeah, again, I did speak to the gentleman, and other folks were able to pay their bills online, and at the same time, he said the end of August, but he claims he couldn't pay his online, and he felt that it was an internal problem with us.
Sure. Okay. Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Okay, new business D will be tabled and continued. Okay? Sorry?
The holiday
What about
parking.
C? Complement.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I already put a mark on that, my apologies. Uh, Okay, complimentary holiday parking in the immediate central business district. Resolved, the Board of Trustees declare complimentary holiday parking from December 1st, 2023 through January 2nd, 2024 in the central business district of the village. I need a motion to permit this.
Ferraro, make the motion.
Second,
Berenger will second.
discussion?
Yeah, just, you know, we do allow this during the holiday season so people can get in, get out. And it just, the merchants that park their cars in front of their own stores, they're hurting themselves, so leave that for the customers. Find a place to park your vehicle so you're not hurting the customers.
Great. Okay, first and second, call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Okay, so we tabled taxi cabs. Next order of business, the event application, Village of Monroe Winter Festival 2023. Resolved, the Board of Trustees approve the event application submitted by Mayor Dwyer to hold a 2023 Winter Festival and outdoor community gathering with music, activities, sleigh rides, Santa and Mrs. Claus. The event will be held on Saturday, December 9th, 2023, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Lake Street between the ponds. Approval and sign-off has been done through the DPW, building, and police departments. The Monroe Police will provide 2 police officers on 3 hours of overtime to assist with the road closures and security at the event. The estimated cost of additional police services is $420. The village's insurance carrier, Marshall and Sterling, will be notified. I need a motion to approve the event, please.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second,
Carl will second.
discussion? Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is the event application of the Sacred Heart Church Rosary Procession, Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe on 12/12/23. The Sacred Heart Church has submitted an application, an event application for their annual Rosary Procession in honor of the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023, beginning at 3:30 p.m., contingent on approval of the New York State DOT 33-B permit. The purpose of this event is to reach the spiritual needs of the parish community in both English and in Spanish. The following roads will be used, beginning at the Sacred Heart on Sage Road, left onto 17M, right onto Still Road, and finishing at Sacred Heart Church. Sign-up has been completed by the Building Department, the Highway, and Police Departments. The Police Department will provide police officers to escort the event participants from Stage Road to Still Road. All necessary insurance documents has been submitted. Reverend David Ryder has requested the application fee be waived at this time, that this is a Roman Catholic church and has been a tax exempt status as a not-for-profit institution. So resolve, the Board of Trustees approve the request of the Sacred Heart Church for their annual rosary in honor of the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023, beginning at 3:30 p.m. I need a motion.
Ferraro, make the motion.
Second,
Carl is second.
discussion. Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
Dwyer, aye. And the second order of business is resolve, the Board of Trustees approves the waiver of the $50 application fee. I need a motion to accept that.
Berenger will make the motion.
Carl is second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Okay, next order of business, Village of Monroe Board of Trustees resolution concerning the violation of property maintenance to 401 Route 208 SBL 201-3-4. As per Village Code, Article 1, Section 155A-6E, failure to control trash and rubbish, all land must be kept free of dead, dying trees and accumulation of brush, shrubs, weeds, grass, stumps, roots, or excessive and/or noxious growths, garbage, refuge, or debris which would either tend to start a fire or increase the intensity of a fire already started, or cause poisoning or irritation to people or animals, or cause or tend to cause or enhance an unhealthy or a dangerous or obnoxious condition on said property or an adjacent or neighboring property. The specific violation is garbage, debris on all sides of the building and throughout the lawn. There has been failure to remedy. And whereas longstanding violations of the Village Property Law, Chapter 155A-6C of the Village of Monroe Code have existed at 401 Route 208, Village of Monroe, designated as tax map SBL 201-3-4, and whereas the property owner has been given proper and lawful notice of said violation and has been directed to correct the violation, and whereas the property owner was given due notice of a due process hearing to be held by the Board of Trustees on November 21st, 2023 at 7 p.m., and whereas the owner did not appear, and whereas the owner has not taken steps to correct the violation and the violation still exists, and whereas the Board of Trustees is authorized pursuant to Section 155-A8 of the Property Maintenance Law to authorize that the village undertake to remedy such violation of the property's owners at the property owner's cost and expense. Be it further resolved that the village clerk mail a certified copy of this resolution be mailed to the property owner via certified mail. Be it further resolved, any violation that remains uncorrected on this property as of today, November 21st, 2023, the Board of Trustees is hereby authorized the village, its contractors or agents, to enter upon the property to correct the aforesaid violation, and that all costs incurred by the village, including administrative, legal, and corrective costs, be charged to the property owner, and such charge shall be added to the tax bill of the property owner if not paid within 30 days of the notification to the last known address of the property owner as shown on the village tax records. I need a motion to issue this violation to this property.
Carl will make that motion.
Ferraro, second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Okay, next order of business, after. Okay, next order of business, mayor's report. I don't have anything. Council, do you have anything? No. Okay. Anyone from the public wish to speak upon any matter before tonight's meeting? Please come on up.
Good evening, Mayor, good evening, trustees. So you'll realize that when I see a mic, I'm just allergic to it. I just jump right up to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I would like to congratulate the Monroe. Yes, Abraham Floor, 283 Spring Street. So I would like to congratulate again the Monroe Police Department for the cardiac arrest save that I had this Sunday. It's not the first time that they did it in the past couple of months. Myself had with them, this was probably the second or the third. So, and as we all know, they're one of the best. I would say they're the best police department, best EMS, and the best fire department, due to the fact that they have good leaders and a good village board that are supporting them. Monroe Police Department, I think, is one of the only police departments that are New York State certified as EMS providers, and they're doing a great job. I work with them a lot. So I would like to ask the Board of Trustees to please consider a way of doing a recognition to all workers, all emergency workers, including police department, fire department, and EMS when something like this happens. And I think this will give a major recognition for the community, what kind of leaders they have and what kind of emergency personnel they have. And the response over here in this village is very, very fast, and they're doing a great job. And if this happened, that they had a young woman that went into cardiac arrest, they worked her up, and it was police departments from 3 agencies. Monroe worked very aggressively, and you could find out from, I called into the police department who they were, and I think there should be some kind of process, if possible, to recognize all EMS workers and emergency personnel, fire, EMS, and police department when
Agreed.
something like this happens.
Absolutely agreed.
At the same time, I would like to thank you for tabling the Law 23. I appreciate that, and again, when it came up the first time, I asked if there's a way of the mayor or trustees to meet with the community and see if there's any way of straightening this out. We all know that there's got to be a way. We all live together, and it's got to be a way of doing things in a way that shouldn't disturb each other. From the other hand, this is a religious thing, and it's especially when it comes to weekends, when there's no vehicle movement, except mine sometimes when I have to.
I've seen you.
Yeah.
You
So
helped me
there
out
should
one
definitely be a way of bringing this, because like I said, community is very happy of a lot of things that this village does for the community, and it's really getting better, the relationship, and we work together with everything. So when something like this that's so sensitive to the community, I think there should be a way of do like maybe a public hearing or something that we should all sit down and see. It should be on a way that it should not disturb the.
Look how well we did on the paint colors. Right?
Yes. So again, thank you. And if there's any way we could do that, and I think it's a great thing.
Great
It's. I mean, I'm doing this for 32 years, and I work with a lot of different agencies. You have one of the best, and every resident over here should be very, very proud of having services like that.
Agreed. Thank you.
I
Appreciate
agree.
that.
Thank you.
Your building looks nice across the street. I like that.
We should get a recognition for that too.
We
Absolutely.
could give you a plaque.
Maybe other people will do the same.
We'll put a historic plaque on it for you. I just have a couple of real quick things, if I may. Oh, I'm
Anyone
sorry.
else in the public? No. Okay.
All right. Have you heard anything back from One Stage since we had our meeting?
He's working with the contractor on an estimate.
Oh, okay. I had an opportunity to look at the garbage district contract, which last year they extended it out an additional 5 years. And some of the things that I'm not quite understanding, in what the town puts out every year,
Right.
you know, the bulk large pickup items, 1 item per week. And then a little bit further down, it says large bulk item pickup begins the first Thursday in April and will end the last Friday in December. So, in looking at this, the old agreement, because the new agreement basically is the old agreement with price increases. And one of the things that, well, there's a couple things in here, just want the board to be aware of, because I never knew about this. And it's Article 1, which is C. The contractor also agrees that upon written request of any resident, owner of a single-family residence serviced by said contractor, and upon proof of senior citizenship status of the lighting here is rough, that the senior citizen resident shall be entitled to receive a $1 discount per month from the amount so billed. Did you know anything, ever know anything about that? I don't know how many people do. I wonder how many people have even,
If I had to take a stab at it, I would think the garbage district is probably about 30 years old.
yeah,
Could take some time.
yeah,
I'm gonna bet that language goes back as far as that.
yeah.
When we're
Yeah,
putting our
no,
own-
but I never see it announced out there, that, hey, if you want, $12 a year is a lot for some people, you know? Regarding what I just said about the bulk pickup items, if you go to D, the contractor agrees that they will provide each and every residential customer at least 1 day per month allocated to bulk pickup day. Now, I don't understand that, because here, it doesn't specify, it just says, agrees provide per month. But here, January, February, March, there's no bulk pickup, but I'm not understanding this, and just curious if again, I think that both the Village of Harriman and the Village of Monroe should be involved in this garbage trap. We're probably the biggest part of this garbage district with our village residents. And I just don't understand how they're saying 1 item per week, and then you're only
On a
picking.
pickup, but then a bulk item once a month.
Yeah, I'm not getting it, so,
Well, I know they don't do the bulk item once a month.
well, there's a problem with the bulk items too, because again,
But I mean, that piece, they probably don't, I've never seen them. Have you?
No.
Once a month? No.
they pick it
Have
up
you?
every Thursday.
They pick up
No,
every
no,
Thursday.
no, I mean to say is they allow 1 bulk pickup item on a regular pickup, but then they have a second paragraph there that refers to a bulk day. Is that a different bulk day?
I don't know. That's what
I'm
this is-
assuming,
This is
would
what I'm
that mean
trying
if
to,
I put
this is what I'm trying to
something bulk-
find out.
Say I put out a bulk item for four weeks in a row, are they only taking once and then recording it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Now, another concern that I have, and I see it happening, and some folks will put a garbage pail out there and just leave it out there, whether it gets picked up or not. It clearly states at the bottom of their thing, all items must be curbside by 5 AM on the day of pickup. That's okay, but when they're picking the garbage up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and somebody goes and drags their garbage pail out at 4:30 and puts it out for the street, the garbage truck's already come through. So now you gotta sit there and look at that until the next garbage pickup. So there's inconsistencies in this, in this garbage contract. I've got the minutes where all the council people that voted yes for it, and I think somebody needs to have a discussion with them. It's all highlighted. It's,
We're pushing it this way.
I have no
Yeah.
problem.
All right.
But there's concerns with this garbage contract, and,
I think it's outdated. It absolutely is outdated.
and again, yesterday morning, the truck came through my development at 10 after 3. And somebody did drag their garbage pail out at 4:30, and there it sits today, filled with garbage. So we'll look at it until Friday.
Oh, the bulk, you mean? Not
No, the household
So they
garbage.
missed the pickup at 3 o'clock, is your point?
Yeah, it says it's gotta be out here by 5 AM. So
Right.
they put it out like at 4:30, because I can hear them drag it out there, and they get in their car and they leave. But the garbage truck had already been through.
Got it. I get it?
So I guess you're nominated to go.
He is. And we can clarify clear bags on the recycle day.
Well,
Or mine in the green bin.
Sometimes it's too big.
So that's that.
Okay, where are we?
The kiosk, where are we with this kiosk?
Kiosks are to be delivered, I think, in 2 weeks. And I've asked that we hold off installing them until January 1, when we're out of the holiday thing,
Okay,
and then get them installed.
okay. And is the pond dredging,
So the first contractor did not sign the contract. And we're now going to the second low bid. And we're,
Yeah, it's nothing.
we had a 2-hour meeting this morning with the second low guy. And they're actually going to do some review. Council that we brought in on this has given us some parameters of what we could do and what we can't lawfully do, meaning what can we do with the existing bid and what can't we do. So we're trying to stay within the framework of it. The second low bidder is prepared to sign a contract with us, but obviously it's for $700,000 more. So I've asked him to look at alternate ways of doing the project and alternate locations of where they would place the material. Because these socks, as we say, they're massive. And if they get filled with the slurry and have to de-water themselves, so, a big round, sausage, big, some of these things are 40 feet by 20 feet high by 80 feet long. And when they fill up, they start to solidify because they're losing their water volume and they dry out. When they dry out to a certain amount, they rip the sock open, fillet it out like a fish, and you're looking at what's left, and that material is what can be placed or removed from the site.
so we are looking to get it done this year, or this
Well, it
coming?
depends on what they're doing. So what I've done is I've reached out, I've asked them to come to a meeting. They came this morning with the engineer, the second low bidder, and I've asked them to come back to us with some better numbers by changing the scope, assuming that they're willing to sign a contract with us. So that's the key piece. We have to sign a contract. Without a contract being signed, it's gonna go out to bid again. And we're going after the bid bond of the first contractor for not delivering. And I tried every way to Tuesday, short of driving to Pittsburgh, to go after them. So it's very frustrating, very, very frustrating.
That's all I have. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Just going to bring everybody up to date on the renovations in the building. On Friday, December 1st, the mobile office will be delivered and placed into the back of the building. It'll take up 4 parking spaces. At that point, starting next Monday, all the cars that park there will be given notice under their windshield wipers that they no longer can park there. Village employees only will be allowed to park in the spots, whether it be the white area or the yellow area. It'll be village employees only. And then on or about the first week of January, once we've moved everyone out of the building, we'll begin renovations, which should take just a few months, if all goes well.
20.
Okay. I was going to say, I know we encourage everyone to shop local all the time, but especially with the holidays coming, I know Saturday is considered Small Business Saturday. It doesn't have to be just Saturday, maybe just think about shopping in your local stores. There's so many in the Village of Monroe, and support some of your local restaurants. And I also wanted to congratulate the Monroe Woodbury Boys Cross Country Team for the 2nd year in a row. They're New York State champions, and I know we had them here last year. They work really hard. They're a great group of guys, and I just wanted to say congratulations to them. Okay, so.
Gail, it's your call.
I'm sorry.
Good, that's okay.
Okay.
Done.
Done, okay. At this time, I need a motion to go into executive session for attorney-client and litigation and personnel.
Berenger will make the motion.
Carl, a second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Thank you all for attending. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody that celebrates. And we look forward to seeing you at our December 5th meeting. Thank you.
I'm gonna bring an electric blanket next.